This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to and Beyond Phinda Private Game Reserve. My name is Clive, and behind the camera we have Marcel, and we are excited to take you on your safari this morning. Right, welcome back everyone. And as I said earlier, a very good morning to you from and Beyond Phinda Private Game Reserve. And as I said, my name is Clive, and behind the camera today we have Marcel. Now we're out here on a beautiful morning this morning. And we actually did stop here because there were 3 rhinos here, which very rudely ran away just before we went live. But we thought we'd start with this beautiful view out to the horizon there, obviously straight towards the east. So the sun will be coming up around there, and that in the distance, that looks like a mountain range, is actually clouds. And that is clouds over the ocean. The Indian Ocean is just there, about 40 kilometers or so from where we are now. And then just below those clouds, you might see almost a very uneven ridge. And that ridge, which looks quite like mountains as well, are actually the coastal sand dunes. So extremely high sand dunes. I think the highest point is about 200 and something meters above sea level. And then obviously the ocean's just on the other side of that. So we can't actually see the sea from here. It's just on the other side of those dunes, but it's not too far away. So for us this morning, we are going to be in search of some cheetah. I know yesterday afternoon, Dumi showed you that the mother cheetah with those two youngsters, and they were on the hunt and moving around. So that is exactly where we are going back to. That area is only about 10 minutes up ahead or so. They were very active, so there is a possibility they moved slightly since Dumi left them, but they're not going to move much during the night. They don't want to move around at the same time that lions and leopard do. So this is the time when they're going to start moving. Oh, there's a giraffe. Look at that. What a beautiful view. Look at that. Looks like 2 giraffes, although one has just moved behind a tree. But look at that, behind the giraffe, just out into that expanse of those valleys. Sure, this is a really, really beautiful view. But I think we're going to leave this giraffe and we will carry on in our search for these cheetah.
Good morning everybody, and welcome to and Beyond Ngala. My name is Eric, and behind camera is Owen as usual. And I wish Clive all the best in his cheetah search. Hopefully we get some nice action with those cheetahs this morning. I have been talking to Barney and Nikki, and I've been hearing some unbelievable leopard viewing that has been going on down by the river. and I thought there's no ways that I'm missing out on any of this action. So we are heading down into that riverbed to see if we can find any tracks or signs of any of the leopards that have been seen recently. We've just come out into a really nice open clearing, and although the sun hasn't quite reached it, so just to give you an idea, the sun is directly behind us. We're going straight west, and so the sun sometimes hits the canopy of these trees in this beautiful clearing here. But it's nice just to have a quick little scan, see if we can see anything. Surprisingly not as cold as it has been in the last while. And so I'm only down to 7 layers this time. A quick little scan, I didn't see too much going on, so let's actually drop down into the river and see if we can find anything there. And so we're heading straight back into the area where Nikki had those Ross males last night. We might see if they're around, although by the sound of things they had started roaring, which means that they might have started to mark their territory. So there's a chance that they could have moved quite far already. So it might be worth just sticking in the nearby vicinity looking for any tracks or signs of either a young male leopard who's been around recently, or perhaps even a female leopard who's got 2 cubs. We are coming down into the beautiful Timavati River now. Just getting to the bank, and then we'll have another quick little stop and a scan. Switch off the engine and just listen for maybe 2 or 3 minutes and see if we can find any or hear any exciting things going on. Margot, I have been able to follow lions on quite a few patrols before, and I mean it does mostly look like they're walking a lot of the time. Sometimes, I mean, if they're very, very active, they'll be roaring a lot, and so that's always exciting and interesting. And then when their scent mark is also very interesting, because they walk up towards a tree. So say, for example, this tree over here, they'll walk up to it, they'll turn and spray with their urine. And then sometimes they'll even run up and almost jump up into a tree and rub their faces all over the scent, or all over the tree to get their scent into it. And so that's quite cool. What I find interesting as well is how quickly they walk and how well they know this area. So, I mean, they'll be walking down the quickest route possible. So it's usually roads or prominent game trails, and they know exactly where to go and when. So if the road bends around like that, they just take the shortcut and they cut the loop off and they just walk straight in a straight line. It's always interesting. So we're just about to get into the area where that male leopard was in the last couple of days. So hopefully we'll have some good news soon.
About as good as I can get, unfortunately. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Eco Training of Pridelands Conservancy. My name is Michael Anderson. Behind the camera is Gert. And we are also on the search for a lion this morning. We heard a male lion calling. Well, I think it's a male lion calling this morning from around this area. And we've got tracks of lionesses up and down here. So we are trying to see what we can find. It's nice and cold and crisp this morning, so those calls can travel quite a distance, but we are hopeful that we're going to find something this morning to do with those big cats. Well, we've got tracks anyway, so we're going to keep moving around here. Actually, it's a good idea to stop once in a while just to listen to the bush, because it can give us... Listen. There's a lion calling. It's very quiet. I'm not sure you'll be able to hear it. Okay, so we just heard a lion call from quite far north of where we are. So that's to my left here. It sounds like it's moving away because it was much louder earlier. So he is probably also on a territorial patrol. Being a cold night, this male lion, if it's a male, I'm pretty sure it's a male, it's a very deep, strong, booming call, and long and drawn out. And so he's probably on a territorial mission. Scent marking, calling, just letting any other lions know that this is my place, and don't come near me, or don't come near my territory. And his call is very strong, so probably it's enough to intimidate any other lions that might be moving through this area to know that we need to stay away. But it could potentially be outside of our boundaries, so we might actually just follow up on these lioness tracks and see if maybe they have been following his calls.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Djuma Private Game Reserve in the Sabi Sands, where we found a few little elephants this morning. Hello, everybody. My name is Steve Falcon, joined by Niels on camera, and we are very excited to have you with us. We found some male leopard tracks right out of the gate, and we're trying to see where that male leopard has gotten to. But at the moment, we haven't quite picked up on where he's gone. But it's possible that these elephants caused him to move. He was moving in this direction, and then he moved off of the road. So just trying to ascertain exactly where he's gotten to. KFC wants to know who is the strongest between an elephant and a rhino. Well, those little elephants you can see there are not fully grown. They are quite strong, but a fully grown male rhino weighs in the region of 3,500 kilograms, 6,000 pounds. But a fully grown male elephant weighs 6,500 kilograms, 12,000 pounds, even more sometimes. So when it comes to bulk strength, elephants are bigger. For example, in the Pilanesberg many years ago, there were young, sort of old teenage boys that were actually killing rhino. And the rhino was a very big, fully grown rhino, but... Sorry about my game drive radio. But the elephants were just getting a little bit too pushy and shovey. As you can see, this is what they do. But one of these little guys is not as strong, but they are incredibly powerful and incredibly solid. But it's really not about pitching them in a battle royale, elephant versus rhino. It's not really what they do in natural conditions. Elephants will shout at other animals, and other animals will move away. Oh, he's going down on his knees. He's horning the ground now, everybody. Oh, you are such a clown. You just want to go spank him on the bottom, don't you? Now here comes his friend. Here we go. Knock him when he's down. Oh, wonderful. Definitely two boys. What boys do. Pushing, shoving, throwing each other around. Out into the open now and play with us. Good. So much fun and games. Trying to get the third involved, having none of it. You see, he even shook his head, the one on the left, said, no, I'm eating. TaylorMade says they look a bit tipsy after a night out. Not possible. Alcohol is banned in South Africa currently. There's no going out. And these guys are drunk on life, I suppose. They're just happy. Teenagers playing. You see, they're really trying to get the third one involved there. It's just having none of it. No, boys, I'm eating. Okay, I'll go back to you again. Momo, that is not true. No, they do not get drunk off of marula. There was a documentary or video shot years ago whereby they had all these animals getting drunk and falling over from marulas. That was not real. I think James worked it out that the methanol that would be produced from the marulas, they would have to eat an enormous amount for their body weight to have gotten them drunk. I mean, you can make beer out of marula fruits, and it is quite intoxicating, but you need to ferment that, and an elephant would need to eat an enormous amount. So, no, unfortunately not. But there is a wonderful liqueur called Amarula Cream, which is made out of marula, and it is a favorite for many people in South Africa. It goes very well in a coffee and on ice cream. I've still got these little ones over here, Neil, so I don't know if you've got a good view of them there. The smaller one was getting involved. Either that or the very relaxed female on the right who's enjoying herself a little stick. There we go. Wonderful, yummy golden light in the morning. Niels and myself are going to probably try to get another view of these elephants.
All right. Well, the sun is starting to come up here on Anbion Phinda Private Game Reserve. As you can see, a beautiful sunrise this morning, and we've actually got quite a few animals going on around us here. There are some zebra just off there on the right. Just a few. I can't see exactly how many. There's a couple of them behind the trees, but I can see two clearly in the open there. But look how that sun around them is just making the grass that golden color. It's really beautiful. And then for those of you who were watching the sunset this morning and those giraffe in the distance, oh, I think they're just moving off behind some bushes, but oh no, just disappearing. There were a few giraffe here as well. Oh dear, sorry, apparently I said sunset. I meant sunrise. Confused about what time of the day it is at the moment. But look at that light on the zebra. This is a perfect way to start. This is exactly how I'd expect to start the safari, actually. And from where we started the live show as well, I think we've moved about 200 meters, so we really haven't gone very far and found all these animals here. Download. That's a very interesting question. I'm not sure about the taming part. I'm guessing a zebra could possibly also be trained, but it's more the being able to ride on a horse that's the difference. The horses' spines can carry our weight. They're strong enough to carry us, whereas the zebra's spine is just not as strong. So humans aren't able to use them for that for that manner. And therefore, I guess people don't really tame them that often. But I think as far as taming goes, that would probably be the same as a horse. I can't see why it would be any different. So all these animals around us, those giraffe are doing the same, these zebras are doing the same, but they're all making use of this nice early cool morning to get lots of feeding done. But as I said earlier, the mission for this morning is those three cheetah, and with it being this time of the morning, I think this is when we're going to start needing to try and find them before they start moving too far. So I think it's a good time for us to carry on.
You've decided it's time to stop playing around and have some food. You can see this youngster now is doing that behavior I explained the other day called corkscrewing, where he breaks the branch and sticks the bark or the stick in the mouth and then turns it around to access the nutrients. We're going to spend some time with these elephants because there's a gentleman this morning that I would like to introduce to you. His name is Raymond Causa. He's going to be jumping into the driver's seat shortly to do a few segments and introduce himself. So I know you will all be very kind and gentle with him. Here's a long-standing guide. And he's very excited in the back seat here waiting to say good morning. Good morning, Tej. You want to know if elephant has teeth inside the mouth? Yes, they've got molars, Tej, inside the mouth that they use for grinding. And elephant will actually get 6 sets of molars in their life. So they start off right in the beginning with a small set, and then a second set pushes. And eventually, by the time they're 45, that 6th set pushes in. So just like a conveyor belt in a way, pushing from the back. And eventually that last set of teeth erupts in the back of the mouth. And once they grind them down, that is when elephants start getting a little bit old, as their food just doesn't get really chewed up or broken up before being ingested. And the name Loxodonta africana is the scientific name of an elephant, and that it refers to the long tusks, which are actually modified in sizes. Okay, she's doing very well with this little branch here, the bush willow. You actually hear her crunching. This time of year we experience enormous amount of damage to these plants as the elephants access the roots. Oh, Nils, you've got a fellow coming to say hello in front of us, yeah? Sorry to change your topic. Coming to say hello with a little stick in his mouth. Hello, young one. Are you going to come walk right past me? You're going to come smell my bonnet? Yeah? That's not a very appetizing looking stick you've got there. Look, guys, I've got a stick. Ooh, Cordelia, off the top of my mind, off the top of my brain, I don't know the scientific name off of an Asian elephant. Sorry, it's not something that's locked away in that storage bank of mine. Hello, little fella. You're going to go behind the car, are you? Of course. I will look it up, though, for you. I will look it up. I'm sure it's probably something quite simple. I do have a lot of scientific names, Cordelia, locked up in the brain, but I think it gets a point where, where you don't lock them anymore. I think Rebecca has managed to search it for me, and she says it's Elephas maximus. That's an interesting name. Elephas maximus, indeed. How cool is that? Probably located before or identified before these guys, who knows? Asian elephants have been documented for a very, very long time, used in India and the like for a very, very long time. Smaller ears. The African elephant, if you look at the tip of the trunk where it's busy using at the tip of the trunk, there are two fingers, two pinch-like fingers there, where the Asian elephant has only got one. The purpose of that I don't really know. It's possible because the Asian elephant feeds primarily on tall rank grasses, papyrus-like, reed-like grasses, and these African elephants use it much more for vegetation like trees, branches. Obviously do graze as well. They don't need a double finger for grazing, but that double finger holds that branch quite nicely. Michael, you seem to think that elephants choose random things to eat. He is not, or she is not being random at all here. She knows exactly what she's looking for. She's ripping up the bark of that, I think that's a variable bush willow. She's destroying, it might be a large fruited actually, destroying that bush willow in search of the bark. So she knows exactly what she's feeding on. Elephants are actually probably far more selective than any of the other big animals. Our small antelope, steenbok, duiker, and the like are extremely selective because of their small body size. They need to be very selective. But large animals have got big mouths. The bigger your mouth, the less selective you can be. A rhino, a hippo, they're like a big vacuum cleaner. There's no selection at all. They just wolf it all in. Whereas an elephant will eat exactly what they need to. Although it is a lot of bulk still, they are very selective, in fact. So there's nothing random about it. Their trunk goes down, they sniff, they'll pick up a forb, they'll pick up a specific fruit, they'll graze very specific grasses. And this time of year, the bush willows really do get a hammering when it comes to elephant damage. So when you come back, everybody, there'll be another gentleman in my seat, a few inches taller, and he's very excited to say good morning.
Oh, this just sounds amazing. From Steve's side. Oh, the little baby's on its back legs. Oh, stunning. There's two little ones that... Oh no, don't fall over. Oh, that looked like such beautiful, playful wonder. There's a little leaf. So why not? Why not play? That's so super cute. Hi everyone, my name is Trishal and I've got BK on camera this morning. Good morning, BK. We are feeling a little bit warmer. BK and I are by far the coldest people in camp in terms of feeling, not hot. And we are feeling a bit warmer today, which is strange because apparently it's the same as it has been the last couple of days, like 6 degrees Celsius, 42 degrees Fahrenheit. Now I've actually just been following some male leopard tracks along this road, and that male leopard hasn't exited the property just yet. Oh, so sweet. Batterlight, she'd like to know if elephants see in color. Elephants see in a very kind of muted, actually to use the word grayscale is not correct. It's just a very muted, dull color. They see in the way that people who are colorblind may see. So they are dichromatic instead of trichromatic like we are. That means that we have color receptors Sorry, I'm just listening. The Game Drive radio is going crazy today because there's tracks all over the place. And Rex and I have been working this area for this male leopard. Yes, they're dichromatic, so they lack a red color cone, which most most mammals do, apart from some primates, including ourselves. Somebody is coming to say hello. Hello. Hey, hey, hey. You want to say hi to BK? Hey, you want to say hi to BK? I love it when it happens. We definitely don't try to put ourselves in a position where we force an animal to feel that they've got to intimidate us. It's always nicest, especially with elephants, in fact with all animals, to just kind of park in a direction that you think that they may be moving in, but park a substantial distance away, and then see if they want to come to you, because that gives them the option to go around you, and they can go from any way, they can go behind, in front, to the side of you. They have enough space to make a choice. So if they want to come close, it's not because you're forcing them to. Look at that cutie. So like I was telling you, we're following male leopard tracks that we're heading north on Gallagher Shortcut.
I'm coming to help.
And then I stopped at these elephants, and Rex continued through to Aubrey's Road, and he said he's picked up tracks there too.
They were slowly going south. I just want to check the one.
And I can hear a hyena whooping as well. There's been a strong interaction between the hyenas and this leopard, because we can see their tracks all around, so there possibly could be a kill. So going down Aubrey's Road would be a really, really, really good place to have a look. In fact, the whooping that I'm hearing at the moment is coming from Aubrey's. So I think that we should go on ahead, see if I can get past these ellies, and see if I can find you.
We are back in the Timbavati River. Well, actually, we haven't left, but you back with us, I guess. And there's still no real sign of where that young male leopard was left yesterday. We went there, we couldn't find any tracks or signs of him, so we're thinking of maybe checking the bank to see if he had decided to move further away from the river. It's been quite an amazing few days for him. He's been able to feed on an impala carcass, so I think he might be quite fat, full, not too willing to find food or move and explore different areas. So I think that he might be in a pretty close area, I'm hoping. He's got no reason to move unless he gets chased by his father, I guess, who is the territorial male leopard in this area. But we were mentioning how the light is just so beautiful at this time of the morning, and we've been in shade for the majority of the morning, and now look at the light that's on the bank of this Timbavati River. It really is gorgeous. And especially on a cold morning, you would have to think that animals, in particular birds, would take the opportunity to sit in these nice exposed areas where there's sunlight and try and warm up. And just as this, oh, there is one bird in the tallest tree with the funny arc to the left there, Owen, if you zoom into the arc there. So this is our first bird of the morning that we're showing you. I'm sure it needs no introduction. It's a vulture. And it looks like it's looking down at something. Let's see, it's quite active, so it might be getting ready to move. And within this tree, I can't see any big platform of sticks, so it doesn't look like it's nesting in this tree. So it could be, maybe this is where the place, it's where it's settled in for the evening. And maybe it could even be fetching some sticks for nesting material. It's quite active. Usually you see these vultures, especially at this time of the morning, hunkered up, heads tucked in between their wings, trying to keep warm. But it looks like this one might fly. I wonder what it's up to. Yeah, you see, it looks like it's going down and plucking. So that's why I think it might be trying to collect some nesting material. So Seychelles vultures generally breed within the winter months, and so they've got these nests along the river that they'll use, and they will start giving birth or laying eggs, not giving birth, at around about between June, July, August, I guess. And they always love, especially these white-backed vultures, they like trees like it's in now. So these really, really tall trees where they're generally safe if there's no young male leopard around, and they'll nest there. And so if we drive along the river, this is why we tend to see a lot of vultures roosting at this time of year in this area, because they are looking for nesting environments. And white-backed vultures tend to be the species we see the most. We do on the odd occasion see a hooded vultures, which is even more rare. I think we were talking to somebody the other day, and he was saying that within the whole Kruger National Park, I think over the last 2 or 3 years, there's been a total of only 70 hooded vultures that have been recorded. Hooded vulture nests, at least, that have been recorded in the Kruger. And we, within this 14,700 hectares, I think have seen 2, or at least 1, and then a hooded vulture carrying nesting material to another tree. So we suspect that there could be another one around. Sharky, some vultures are endangered, some are a little bit less endangered. So this white-backed vulture is probably the most numerous vulture that we get in the area. And then some vultures are quite critically endangered. There's the Cape vulture, which comes to mind. That's a vulture that relies on these big mountain ranges to roost in. And because the Drakensberg is so close by, that's a pretty good nesting environment for Cape vultures. Another one comes to mind as a bearded vulture that is also quite rare and endangered. And for a number of reasons. I mean, one of the knock-on effects with white-backed vultures is if trees, if they lose their nesting environment, so like agriculture, if they come in and destroy the natural habitat, it takes away their nesting environments, and so they won't be able to roost on big tall trees like they would prefer. There is some traditional uses to vultures, and apparently because of their vultures have got such good eyesight, and that it's claimed that if you use a vulture's head in traditional medicine, you might be able to see into the future and predict what might happen to you in the future. There is some rustling to the left over here, but I think it could be a ground bird. With all of this dry grass, there tends to be, I mean, if a small animal moves through here, it tends to make a much bigger noise than what the animal is. So it could just be a ground. When I heard the rustling, I immediately thought it could be something larger like a kudu, but I haven't seen anything. So I think it could just be a little francolin moving around in the grass, starting to start its day. This vulture hasn't moved though. So what I think I'm going to do is just drive past it, and hopefully we won't disturb it. We will drive around the corner and carry on with our leopard search this morning.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Raymond. I'm at Juma Nature Safaris together with Nels as a cameraman. So we are right on sighting of the elephant right in front of us. I just want to move a little bit that we can manage to see all of us what's happening. It is more interesting for today. Definitely, General. It's not easy for the elephant. They have got a rough skin as well, and their molars are very strong, and their teeth as well. Sort of like a trimple on its tongue. So it's not easy that they can be stabbed by the thorns. So, and they also like the thorns, the thorn tree, because mostly they are sweet. So that's why they go for it. And they also have got the layer, which is so-called a conjunct layer, which is most thorn tree, they do have that conjunct layer, and it is very good for them. So, as you see, mostly they go for sort of like twig. They need those moisture for those conjunct layer. They just only take the bark together with that conjunct layer and take the twig out from their mouth. So as you see, that young one, it's also doing the same what I've said. As now it's winter, that's why they go for those trees, not on the grass. The grass are very, very dry, more than the twig. The twig, they still have got moisture, and they do enjoy that moisture. It's take along. As elephant, I would say it's a little bit poor on digestion because it doesn't spend that much. They don't finish all the food, they just chewing, as they have got 6 pairs of molars. Yeah, that's very close now. You can see what I was saying. They did take all the bark. It's just only that small twig that's going to throw it away. They take all the bark and they eat it, and then you see it's thrown away again. That they take all the nutrients, what they need for. You hear that sound? That sound? That's sort of like a communication. A t-shirt, favorite thing for elephant for me, I would say it, because the elephant, they lead by the female one, and they also have got a difference with a human being with 10% difference. As we are also respecting the female or our wives, same applies to the elephant. They do respect the female one. She becoming a leader on a breeding herd. So on a breeding herd, the female one, she's the leader. And evenly at home, the mom at home, she's the one who controls everyone at home. So that's why I say it that most I like the elephant. That's my favorite for the elephant about it. They're respectful for female one, as we are also respecting the female one. The female one, she's the one who tells them what to do, and she's the one who chases the teenagers when they're starting to misbehave. Say, boys, now you're starting to misbehave. You need to get out from us. So those teenagers, they will get a fully grown male one in order to learn how to respect and to protect the female ones. So if you look at this one in front, it's trying to take that, it's sort of like a hand. That hand also have got a smelling. So they need to smell exactly what it is nice or it's have got the moisture in order to take them. You can see it's kicking to open the space to get exactly what they need. They choose exactly what they want to eat, not everything to take it on it. That's why that hand, it's also have got a smelling to take exactly what they need. So they spend more time, keep on trying to catch what they want. I can believe that the elephant can spend more time grazing more than.
Good morning, everyone. I'm running out of superlatives here, but it is just a absolutely magical morning out here at Tswalu. It's not cold, and it's a great morning from Jean-Ray and myself, Dylan. It's good to have you all with us. It's just a beautiful day out here. And we got a nice surprise this morning when we came past this dam on the way up to the meerkats. We saw, there looks like an odd-shaped log lying at the edge of the water. Turns out it's not a log, it's actually a kudu bull that has been killed by something. I've no idea, maybe wild dogs, maybe spotted hyenas, lions, I've no idea. But there's a whole ton of jackals on it. There were 7 jackals here just now. These are black-backed jackals. And they've been feeding full on that. So I'm going to take a guess here. I'm going to say this is probably one group of jackals. So this is probably a extended family group of a dominant male, dominant female, and then look at those tails. That's like aggression sign. It's like a warning, like watch, don't come too close to me. But I'd say it's probably like an extended family on a smaller carcass like this, where you've got alpha male, alpha female, and then the sub-adults from the previous litter. But yes, that is awesome. Look at that. But to give you an idea where we are here, if you go across to the right, Jean-Ray, sorry if you don't mind, I'm going to try stand dead still so I'm not shaking the car. Look at it. There's where Sheldon is. Sheldon is right in front of our little blind. So those branches on the edge of the bushes there, that's normally where Jean-Ray and I sit. So wow, what a sighting we could have had we been here last night. And I've got some good news for you. Those of you who are interested in the Shelby family, Shelley and Sheldon Shelby, I actually managed, after a lot of searching, to locate the nest site yesterday. So this was yesterday morning after we finished with the meerkats. I went down there and I just did some more walking, and I finally got the nest site. So this is really, really special. And so over the coming days, Jean and I, we're actually going to try see if we can show you that nest site. There'll be no disturbance at the nest whatsoever, so you don't have to worry about that. But it'll be nice if we can show you that location of that nest from a comfortable distance away, and what a shelduck nest actually looks like. But anyway, so that's really cool. So you can see where the kudu is, where we sit normally, and maybe even this afternoon we'll come back here and just spend some time here this afternoon then. Noel was asking, why was the one jackal sitting a little bit further away while the others were feeding? So there will be a hierarchy there, even within that family group. And, so when I say this is a smaller carcass, remember, it's not, when we talk about a big carcass, it's things like a giraffe or a dead elephant or you know, something massive like a dead hippo, then you can get a whole lot of jackals from different territories actually converging on that carcass and feeding together. But on a relatively small carcass, like especially one that's been pretty much polished off, there's not too much left on this kudu by the looks of it. You know, there'll be competition at that kill for feeding. So you'll normally get one or two that'll sit back a little bit while the others feed, and then they'll alternate like that. And of course, yeah, Shelly's, well, there he goes. And he's going straight to the nest. He's going straight out. The direction that he's flying is straight back to the nest site. Okay, unless he lands here again. Nope, no, he's heading out. This is so exciting. This is brilliant. Like jackals on a kill, shell duck, all of you. That's good. That's good for us. Jackals are going to be one of my all-time favorite animals, though. Shadulu has just asked, are these all male jackals? I don't think so. I'd be very surprised if it is an all-male group. That's not typical of jackal behavior to get a group of males moving around at all. You'd normally have mixed. But it's obviously not easy to see from this distance and at this angle. One thing I can say about those jackals, after I was in the dam the other day, I'm impressed that those little jackals are in that water because, geez, I don't know, if someone floated a nice, delicious pizza in the middle of that dam, I don't think I would wade in to go get it. But clearly the jackals have no such compunction. The one on the far side of that kudu is actually standing almost waist deep in the water. Claudia from KZN is asking, what is the reason for the jackals waving their tails? That's really it's just a warning to keep distance from me. In other words, when they start getting a little bit grumpy with each other, they'll start doing that. Typically, if you look at it, they'll also do it, same as a dog. They'll put their ears back, start growling a little bit. Lions feeding on a kill, you know, they'll often start, you know, they'll start growling, putting the ears back, and you actually get the tail twitch as well, which signifies that they're getting really, really, really grumpy with each other. So this can be this. So that jackal, especially the one on the right, is very aware of the one immediately to his left, and the fact that if you can see how close their heads are to one another. So as he's feeding, he's got this other jackal, like probably like a foot away from him, like I'm right here. So it'll be constantly just triggering that little impulse to like give a warning flick of his tail. Yes, this is such a lovely sighting. Well, my goodness, I'm guessing this is just by the amount that's been fed on there. This is probably spotted hyenas that took this down. What a crazy sighting for so early in the morning. Just come past you on the way to a peaceful group of meerkats with a little cute pups, and then you get this. But yeah, that's all part of the circle of life. You know, that kudu will break down. There'll be a lot of nutrients going into this dam. You know, you get a lot of bacteria and other little things living in the water that'll be able to feed on that, which in turn then these waders and the ducks and that will be feeding on things growing in the water. So exciting.
We have managed to find a mating pair of lions. One of the Nkuhuma females, it looks like one of the sub-adults, or one of those that were the sub-adults. But I can't be sure because she hasn't given me a look. If you know, please do tell me. Using the hashtag WildEarth. You can see there's lots of grass in front of her. And there's another game drive vehicle behind her. So please just do excuse that. It's very exciting for there to be a lion sighting on Djuma after such a while. There is an Avoca male. It looks like a blondie. So lots and lots of things going on. We've been following up on those leopard tracks, and we got called to Chitwa, where Sibui's cubs are still, and in this mating pair as well. So lots and lots are going on. And I'm just thinking, imagine more in Kahumas. That'd be wonderful. Oh, there's a nice look. You know, these last couple days we were saying the bush is so quiet. Well, today it has really livened up. Lots of sounds, birds alarming, Egyptian geese calling out. That person has a very bright blue beanie. Sorry guys, we're going to try and reposition so that we can get these lionesses, or lioness and our Voca, without disturbing everybody. We'll need to move around, but we will soon. Momo, you'd like to know, why don't female lions or lionesses have names? In general, not any of the animals in a reserve have names, but for the purposes of identification and for our purposes, we give the animals names. And the lionesses usually will get a name at some point. So we have Purple Eye, Amber Eyes, Ridge Nose, Chili. Our adult lionesses, sub-adults, at some point will get names too. But the most important thing is to have a pride name, so we know where they belong. Most of the names of lions tend to be kind of more descriptive names that become their actual names. For example, with the Vocas, Blondie has a very blonde mane, dark mane has a very dark mane, and Mohawk has a very mohawky mane. And that's how they kind of develop these names. Leopards in the Sabi Sands have, firstly, leopards are, if you want to see leopards, the Sabi Sands is the place to come to. Very high leopard density, and they're kind of famous for leopards. There's something about them. It's almost as if they're like a giant panda or any other flagship species. We tend to care more about something that has a name and that we find beautiful and maybe cute when they're younger and things like that. So because it seems to be the Sabi Sands like thing that they're famous for, and also it became something that we spend a lot of time with. And so leopards have gotten names. As for the Djuma clan, Hyena clan, they have names only because of us in the show. Those names are not used anywhere else. Isn't she just beautiful? Apart from her blue beanie pimple on her neck. Well, we're going to try and reposition. Hopefully we'll get a much better view.
Things about a safari is every now and then turning off the vehicle, getting out the vehicle, and it's nice to be able to hear what's going on around you, and it's always nice to just get a feel of the bush rather on foot instead of in the car. So I've decided every game drive I'm going to try and find something off the vehicle that I can walk out and find and do and talk about to you. Anyway, today, while we were coming up this road, Marcel even said, like, what is that smell? And it was a very strange smell. And the first thing we spotted here on the road was a really big track. Now there's the back of the track over here, there's 2 big toes on either side, and there's another 2 big toes out in the front of the track here. So there's 4 toes, and what this is a hippo. Now there's a whole lot of these tracks all coming down the road here. There's a watering hole not too far away, and we actually heard the hippos just now in there. And then also quite an interesting thing here. You might see all this darker color all over here, and even up into the trees. I mean, look at these leaves, they're still completely wet. There's like grass and all sorts splattered all over here, all the way in the road as well. And I don't know if you've ever seen a hippo doing it in the water, but what they do when they defecate is flick their tail from side to side in a mad way, and it just kind of flings the dung all around the area. And as you can see, it's, as I said, all the way up in the leaves there and spread all the way to 3 meters away from here in the road. There's some. So they flick it really, really far. But it's all just part of their, like a territorial thing, marking a bit of their territory. But I thought it was quite an interesting thing to show you this morning anyway. So we've been searching for these cheetah now for quite a while. Been driving around and checking where Dumi left them yesterday, and checking around the whole area looking for any tracks, and we haven't picked up anything yet. So we're going to carry on, and we're going to give it our best shot this morning. But it's really nice just exploring. It's really nice just to explore this area as well. And the best thing about the bush is that you never know what's going to pop out in front of you. Sometimes sometimes you see the most crazy things just by driving around and checking for anything.
Surprise you, and this is exactly a good example of that. You know, we came out this morning expecting to do maybe a little pretty scene and tell you about Shelby family with locating their nest site this morning, and we get here and here's jackals feeding in the water on a kudu. I mean, this is just unreal viewing. And what I'm loving about it is, you know, so often at kills, people are so engrossed and so focused on the larger predator that's there, whether it's lions or a leopard or a spotted hyena, things like that. But these little guys are past masters of survival. They've been around for so long, and they persist in areas where other larger predators have been eradicated, and they are just so
Sorry guys about that, but a beautiful view. Anyway, isn't that nice? Now I'm trying to figure out who this lioness is, and I have a feeling it is one of either the sub-adult females, because look at that neck. She's a really healthy and really pink nose.
I'm pulling out of 2 mother.
Oh, look at her pose, look at her front paws. Stunning, absolutely stunning. Aren't you just so poised? Gorgeous, gorgeous lady. So there's the Avoca behind her, the blonde Avoca, and there's also a Mohawk in front of me. But let us send you very excitingly over to Raymond, see what he's going to chat to you about.
Good morning, everyone. We've got a little bit nice bed in front of us, which is called a long-tailed shrike. We have got lots of differences of this shrike. It was sort of part of hunting. It's just laying down in front of us. Flying a little bit that side. This shrike, it's called shrike because when they catch something, they shrike on a thorn where they can reserve their food time and again. So, if according to those shrike, they are very, very birds which are very, very clever and they know how to save their food most of the time, and they are hunting by the eyes. Exactly, they go and catch that food and then strike on a thorn. Later on, they come and take the food and they eat if they are full. So this is also one of the shrike, which is so beautiful and lovely. Okay. So let's try a little bit forward. Maybe we can manage to get again. Teresa, there are not really, it's only the birds mostly, they can shrike. The other animals, they just dig inside, like a hyena. They can reserve their food. They're taking straight to their hole if they are full, where they can manage to eat again. Sorry, repeat your question. At this moment, we're still trying to relocate the female lion, the female leopard, which we saw the footprint earlier on. We're still trying. We might be lucky to find it as we're still trying to relocate on the area where it is. So as we see, still driving. We're trying to get maybe the footprint where it's crossing. So if we're lucky, we'll find it. Actually, lucky it's lucky. There is no guarantee that I'm saying I'm going to get this one, but I'm willing to get this leopard because since in the morning I'm trying to relocate it. Okay. Sorry. Yes, if it is a chance, I can try to link it. So this footprint is sort of like that. No. It's fresh, but it's more Amazing. Okay. Link the lioness. Okay.
What a drink. This lioness, I think I may have an idea of who she is. I think it might be Purple Eye's daughter from the 2016 litter. Let me know your thoughts. I've always had trouble with the sub-adult females because they're not as recognizable as, say, Amber Eyes or Purple Eye or Ridge Nose. They've all got quite distinct features, and we don't actually see, or rather we don't, which is our fault and my fault, don't focus so much on the sub-adult females, or who were sub-adult females rather. Raynon, you say you think she's Nana's daughter. That was the oldest Nkuhuma lioness, who unfortunately passed away. I definitely think it's one of our adult lionesses' cubs, or, I mean, they're now adults, but who we still call the sub-adult lionesses. Either way, she's in great shape. Very nice and fluffy, very nice thick neck. I don't know why, but for some reason that thick neck does something for me. It symbolizes something for me, because there's so much power to be had taking down kills when you have muscle, this dense muscle and thick, stocky limbs that are still very, very agile and nimble. Interesting. You know what? Perhaps Nana's daughter is not a bad shout at all. I'm just looking at these ears and I've been thinking, I know this shape. This one on the right ear there, that little kind of scoop. And it is the oldest lioness's daughter that had that scoop there. She also used to have a little patch on her nose, but that would have grown out by now. She would also have been a 2016 baby, June, and she did have a very pink nose. This lioness certainly does have a pink nose. I think I am convinced that it is the oldest lioness's daughter. Sorry, lovely viewer who had put in their bet for that as well, because you are, I think, correct. So I know we still call them the sub-adult lionesses, or the Nkuhuma sub-adults, but really they're adults now. 2016, 2020, 4 years, and by that time they're independent and sexually mature.
sometimes it's not really sometimes males, a young male that will kick out in the same time.
Pia, you'd like to know if lions will hunt animals when they're sleeping. When the animals are sleeping? I would hope so, because not when the lions are sleeping, they tend not to hunt because they're asleep. But I get what you mean. Animals out here don't sleep in the way that we do. So they don't have a set time where it's their time to sleep. And they will never be in a situation out in the open where they will be asleep and will not be able to kind of pay attention to what's going on around them. So there's a couple ways that will happen. Say a lion wants to hunt an impala, and the impalas are taking this opportunity to nap. They would nap only in an area that's open, where they can smell for a great distance, hear for a great distance, and see for a great distance. An area like quarantine. Apart from that, an impala is a herd animal. In fact, most of the animals that they hunt are herd animals. That means that they live in a group, so they will never all be sleeping so that they're left unprotected. There will always be one, if not more, that are alert. So none of the animals that they actually hunt have the opportunity to be ambushed when they are asleep. In fact, maybe perhaps a giraffe is the only one, but they sleep very, very little in a day.
Well, one animal that's maybe been in the wars with some lions at some point in its life is this buffalo. So there's a nice big buffalo bull. He's in his later years. He's very wise, shall we say. Not old, he's wise. And he's got a missing tail, and lots of his fur is off. Lots of scratches all over his body. But this buffalo bull is one of the 7 or 8 that like to hang out here close to our camp at Pride Lands. And when a buffalo gets to this age, it doesn't survive this long, being weak or silly. Oh, this is Tungsten. We've affectionately named this one Tungsten because he's got a little tongue which sticks out of his mouth all the time. And yeah, as you can see, the boss on top of his head is smoothing with age. His fur is thinning, as it happens with these old boys. But very, very tough. The lions would really have a tough time trying to attack this buffalo, even though he is very wise, not old, wise. It means that he's probably deaf in the past. And he's got his buddies with him. There's 7 or 8 of them, because they can no longer really follow the herds that are on the fall, but it's not so easy to cover long distances anymore with these big, heavy bodies and their old joints. So they stay close to where there's water and some food. As you can see, they're still formidable, though. Powerful shoulders. Really stupendously large animals, sometimes over 800 kilograms. That's muscle. There's no fat on that body. That's pure muscle. So even if a pride of lions tried to catch this buffalo, he would fight, and because his life would depend on it. And often we've seen it before, when one is in trouble, the others will rush in to help. Buffaloes are well known for that. They're very, very good at defending each other from the lions. Well, while we watch these buffaloes and see if they get moving anywhere, we'll send you back to the lions.
I promise there were big lions there, but they have now gone away. They have now moved off towards Twin Dam, so we're going to go follow them. In fact, you just caught the tail end of that lion, if at all. Right. Let's try and follow them. Something really interesting happens, and it happens quite often when you have multiple males following a female, and that happens often. where he actually, the male that was not mating with her at the time, actually went and sniffed the area where the mating pair was sitting when they moved off. And that was his way of, so he doesn't just run and try and squeeze his way in. He first wants to get the smell, phlegm and grimace a little bit, and figure out her condition. Because, you know, just because one mates with her doesn't mean that she's in a good condition for him. I mean, usually it does, but he still goes and checks it out. There he is sitting there. We can have a brief view and then I'm going to go over to them mating. That's Mohawk giving me the stare as usual. Just watch him there for a little bit. And the lioness is walking up ahead of us. Just on the top there. Gorgeous. I haven't seen lions in such a long time and I've missed them so much, especially these Avoca boys.
Okay, right over here we have got some head of bachelor impalas, which they are very, very relaxed. All of us, we know that the impalas, they are always trying to protect themselves against the predators. They are very good eyesighting. If there are plenty like this, it is also an opportunity for them to look around and to see if they also have got a young teenagers, which they're starting to becoming a fully grown one. So impalas, I would say it's the most favorable for all other animals, for the predators. They are very, very, all the predators, they can win on the impalas. Right over here, always you can see sometimes it's sort of like chasing each other. They're trying to figure out who's the boss on top of that, who's leading. Mostly the fully grown one, they call the young ones to join them in order to protect for themselves against the predators. They are very good eyesighting every time and again. Whatever, when they're grazing or bronzing, each and every time and again, they raise their head up to try to check if is there any predator very close. And they also use the smelling. You can see this one is trying, not looking at us, but looking for the sighting. Is there any predators? All around, every time and again, when they're browsing or grazing, they head up, trying to check if is there any predator very close. So the head of bachelor, most of the time, they be together. The young ones learn how to protect the female one. Most on the head of impala, the female one have got one male one who is dominating or is the winner, who protect all of them, who doesn't have enough chance for browsing like this one. So his chance it's a little bit because he wants to look around and to control them where to go and not to go. So these ones all are sort of like relaxing, they are free, and they are well grazing or browsing. They're eating as well as some leaves and grasses. As you can see them, hold down a little bit. Yeah. They're also very good on hearing. and they are also very good on speed running. Some other animals, they like them to join them. It is a log. Okay.
So our lions have crossed south and they are into Little Gowrie, but we have this awesome view of the two Avoca males, Blondie and Mohawk male. And there's the lioness. I'm quite sure it is the oldest lioness's daughter, born in 2016, walking off. And these two Avocas following. Can you hear the squirrels shouting at them? Off they go. And Kathy, you'd like to know how we tell how old a lion is? It's not the easiest thing, but there are a couple things you can look for. Obviously, the spots on their belly. They tend to go away between a year and 2 years, but some adults will still carry them into adulthood. The spots that they usually have on their bellies. Manes for male, that's a good way to start. Those manes will start to grow as kind of like a bit of a beard, like a chunky beard, around a year. Actually, just even, like you get this, I can't describe it any other way except like a beard. You're not going to think it's going to become a mane. But even if you look at ridge noses, cubs who are now a year old, you would see they've got this bit of chunky chin going on. And that's like the start of their mane. And then within next year, they'll actually start to grow a bit of a mane. And then you can also look at the nose. The pinker the nose of a lion, the younger it generally is. But again, it's not really a hard and fast rule. The best way to know is to keep tracks of families and actually know when these cubs were born. Apart from that, you can look at condition. Older lions tend to lose condition. Their teeth can get quite damaged. Their gums can get quite dark. So those are things to look out for too. But other than that, it's not a very, very easy, hard and fast thing. But our lions have moved, so let's go and find something else to show you.
So the sun has finally crept over the mountains and it's fallen on the dam, the sunlight. So we've had some interesting jackal activity. This one has been feeding like crazy on this kill. The single one has stayed, the others have moved off. They've been lying around the area just behind the bushes out of sight. There is a second jackal coming in. You can just see him trotting past there in the distance. It'll be interesting to see what this one does when the other one approaches. There's another one coming in from the far left. You can't see it, it's out of frame, but it is approaching this kill. So watch this one now with the tail wagging. Look, you see? See that? That's that warning. Ears back, tail flicking. Very cool to see this. And we also have a giraffe. Just been moving around to the left-hand side. He'll pop around just now. But I'm loving this light on these jackals. Wow. And what I said earlier about it being one family group, I'm starting to think now the fact that some of them are really keeping their distance. They tolerated, when we got here, there were about 7 of them on the carcass at the same time. So that would probably be that family group. But now There's others that have been coming and going, but keeping their distance. And that could be, those ones that are keeping their distance, those could be jackals from another territory that are moving into this. Their sense of smell is acute. So, I mean, they would come in from a long, long, long way. They could come in from 2 kilometers away easily to get to a carcass like this. Watch this. This might be fun. Watch. Immediately that warning tail. And see, the one that comes in is almost like half crouched, tail down. Look. That actually looks like a youngster. That is a youngster. When I say youngster, I don't mean a pup, but it's probably a sub-adult. But look at that. Look. Ooh, nice. Oh my goodness. Okay, that is easily as cute as meerkats. You got to admit, come on. And unfortunately, our mic can't pick it up, but they're making the most beautiful, soft growling sounds. It's almost like a... So Ray's asked, can you tell the size of a puppy or kudu? Age of the kudu from the size ones? Yeah, you can. This kudu bull, this one that I'm assuming it's spotted hyenas that killed us, you're looking at about a seven-year-old kudu. So this is a big adult bull. This is a really, really big adult bull. And you know, these horns will grow throughout its life, but you know, as they get older, those tips will start wearing down more than they're growing. And once I got actually, let me grab my binoculars. You should be able to actually see on the tips of these horns. I don't know if you'll see it from, yeah, the tips are like an ivory color. Just on the like the last 1.5 inches, 2 inches on there. They're this beautiful ivory color, and that's also, you get that on the really big adult bulls. Wow, I would have been blown away to see what went on here last night. Jean and I were just chatting here. What was it? You know, we're not going to go closer because we don't want to go disturb what's going on there at this kill site. We're sitting at about 50 meters now, 45, 50 meters. And, you know, there's going to be just so many. There's tons of things to drink now. Yeah, so apologize. We just had a brief frozen feed there. Oh, I'm loving that action there at the carcass. So you see this one is now starting to like, okay, all right, I'm going to carry on feeding, and that little youngster's coming in closer and closer and just going to start trying to get tidbits. But that other one's going to go for it just now. You can see he's like building up to it, but he's torn between, should I go for this other jackal or should I just carry on feeding her? Oh, the decisions we make. Oh man, this is so beautiful, this light. Lions ate my mom. Has just asked, do we think this kudu was killed here or dragged here? I would say it was probably killed here. From where I'm sitting, I cannot see any obvious signs of drag marks. And that's even using binoculars, and I'm scanning quite a wide area. I can't see any obvious signs. But then again, there's, if this kudu was killed, let's say early evening, possibly it was dragged here, but there's just been so much other activity around here that it may just be obscuring those drag marks. But normally you'd see some kind of trace. So my gut feel is that it was probably killed here, rather than being dragged. And also, it's just like an odd place to drag a kill if it was dragged. You'd think, well, that if it was going to be dragged, they'd probably drag it towards the bushes as opposed to into the water. So I'm guessing this kudu ran towards the water in a desperate attempt to get away from whatever was chasing it. Look. You can clearly see that aggression on this jackal closest to us. I'm amazed just how long it's persisted with with feeding on this while the other ones actually moved away. But okay, you can't see them. There's actually one or two behind the vehicle where we're sitting at, so don't worry about it. But there's probably about 5 or 6 jackals that I can see from where I'm perched up here. What a beautiful sighting for the morning, eh?
Wild Earth relies on support from viewers like you to carry on broadcasting our daily live shows. A small donation goes a long way in helping us on our mission to connect the world with nature. Please visit our support page to see how you can help and become part of the Wild Earth family.
It certainly is a beautiful morning, Dylan. It's a little bit warmer this morning, and I am very happy about that. So I think it would be a good idea to check out the den. I did tell you yesterday that I saw Corky's cub, and Corky's cub is there, but it was a glimpse because I just drove by and I knew it was there, and then I gave a little bit of a ee, so exciting. And Niels was also very excited to see the cub, but he's seen it before. So they are there, and it is warm. So perhaps they'll be out and about. But before that, I want to check if there's something in the west. Let me send you over to a bird in the meantime.
Thank you, Trish, and welcome back to me in the driver's seat. We have caught up with another long-tailed shrike, as Raymond was showing you before, also known as the magpie shrike. Oh, down on the floor. That's a plunge dive he did. As Raymond was discussing, these guys like to use their eyes for hunting, as most birds do. And being a shrike, many of the shrikes use thorns for butchering their prey. And a lot of people might think, what is the purpose of butchering your prey? Now, these birds here are not regarded as raptors. They are regarded as predatory birds, but they're not raptors. All of the raptors have got a differentiation from the rest of birds in the fact that they use their foot to hold the prey and then their beak to rip it apart. Now, that is characteristic of animals that have prey that's bigger than them able to swallow. So a much bigger bite than you're able to chew off. So what shrikes have gone and done is that they filled a niche, they filled an area in the landscape, and they feed on organisms that are a little bit bigger sometimes than other birds will feed on. And they aren't able to hold it with their foot to rip and to swallow the whole thing. So they stick it onto thorns, barbed wire even, and then they can rip it off of that, almost like a butcher would do by cutting off bits of meat from something that's been hooked up. And some shrikes, namely the butcher bird, the common fiscal, they actually use what we call larders, where they'll store those insects, because they'll catch insects in abundance when times are ripe, times are plenty. Another one over there. Times are plenty, and then they can come back to it when they want to. The larder, a way of storing your food, but then also the butcher bird is very characteristic of doing that with regards to territory, and to show the lady, look how much food I can catch for you. Don't you want to come hang out with me? I'm such a good provider. Yes, indeed. So that is what shrikes are very well known for. And that's one of the very common bushveld shrikes you find here, the magpie, occurring in little family units. Okay, so we've had no joy with those leopard tracks. They're male leopard. It's very likely that they are indeed Nolandeka. That is me you're talking to. It's very likely that they are very likely that it is Moati's tracks who's gone into the block there. Didn't see him come out. Sorry, Linda, your comms were breaking up there. I heard Linda ask a question about are magpie shrikes related or something like that. Didn't get all of that question. Oh, no. Linda, magpie shrikes, all of our shrike birds and many of what we call passerines, birds that have got 3 toes and 1 at the back, are also called perching birds. Lapwings have lost their back foot altogether and they are ground nesting birds. So lapwings are very, very different. Just because you see the black and white coloration has got nothing to do with relatability. Just like a zebra has got black and white stripes and an okapi has got black and white stripes. One is more closely related to a giraffe and the other one a horse. So colorations and designs like that are just the way that they fit into the landscape. Quite often, black and whites are referring to a sort of warning coloration in many organisms, but I don't think the blacksmith lapwing has got any warning coloration. Shrikes, though, I suppose, a little bit. But a very good question. But no, very, very different in the lineage. Okay, we got another elephant, Niels. Just going to reverse slightly for you there and see if we can maybe get it for you on camera. It's that. It's going to go into the bushes. Let me just move up slightly. Of course, it's going to be a very shy elephant. Very, very shy elephant. There's normally more than one. Yes, I am sure she's trying to speak to me. I have tried to be talking to her as well. Hang on, everybody. I just quickly need to talk to Trishala while you enjoy this wonderful elephant. Trish.
Hi. Nigel just updated me that we is now with the 2 cubs. It's a really nice thing. If you want to go, I suggest you maybe go now.
Copied. I am on my way. Thanks very much. Okay, everybody, we're on our way. Let's go to Chitwa.
Thanks, Nigel. Steve will come join you.
We're on our way to Chitwa. We are going to go see some leopards, if that's all right with you. Sorry, Niels, for pulling out of there so quickly. We're going to go see some leopards. Is that all right? Do you guys mind if we go take you to go see 3 leopards? I think they don't want to, Niels. I don't think the viewers want us to go see leopards. No? Should we make another plan? Yeah, let's make another plan. Let's go find another elephant. I'm only joking, everyone. We're going to go to Chitwa. They have found Sibui with her cubs. So you just stay right with us. We'll get you there shortly.
Oh, my call also was dropped. How's it? We have just stumbled onto the most amazing scene, everyone. Someone has found this pride of lions. We tried to find them. We did a big circle around. We couldn't see anything. And just as we were about to leave the area, we heard this distress call. And lo and behold, after following them, this is what we have. It is absolutely outrageous. I see this buffalo is still alive. There's a few females there holding onto the throat and holding onto the nose to try and stop it from breathing, whilst the others take advantage and they're all starting to feed now. That one's starting to loosen its grip, so it might think that it's done the job, but look, that leg is still trying to kick a little bit. What a dramatic way to start the week. This is insane. So I think it might be done for now. There's no more kicking, there's no more nothing left, unfortunately. Seems like this buffalo's reached the end of its days, but this is absolutely incredible. Elizabeth, there definitely are a few animals that lions won't hunt, and it tends to be the bigger ones. So this buffalo, for a pride of lions this size, is probably as big as it gets, where they will hunt on a regular basis. There are sometimes quite unique circumstances where they'll hunt something bigger. I guess maybe if anything bigger than a buffalo, it would be a giraffe. But not much bigger than this, and that's why it's so special to see. And it's one of those ones where if you're hunting, or if these lions are hunting, particularly buffaloes, it can go both ways. And sometimes the lions are unsuccessful and the buffaloes are able to chase away the lions. But I think the disadvantage that this buffalo had was that it was an old buffalo and it was all by itself. And so these young lions with lots of energy with the experienced females made pretty light work of it, surprisingly. And see there, that's one of the young males, and so now this is where everything starts to get interesting, because now as they start to open it up, although there's lots of meat for everyone, and these lions will start competing against one another. See, it's one of the youngsters there that's starting to get right into the underpart of the front leg. So that's where the skin is softer, and its young jaws might be able to pierce the skin and get into the fleshy meat a bit easier. There's one lying on the left that's just having a look, and it's taking a quick breather. It's got such a bloody face. That one there, look at it. So it's already starting to get its delicious food, and directly in between the back legs. So it's quite incredible how you're just in a situation like this, and you can hear what's going on around. You can hear the crunching of the cartilage and the teeth piercing the bones. You can hear the growling of the lions. This is nature at its rawest. It is unbelievable that we get to witness something like this. And it's already 8:20. The sun is out, it's starting to warm up. I'm sure these lions were probably on their way to try and find a place to settle down for the day, and this buffalo was in exactly the wrong place at the wrong time. Listen. It sounded like it was that young male who we saw appear with that bloody face briefly. One of the youngsters has just gotten a fright, and so all of the adults have picked up their heads. It took us quite a while for us to have a look to figure out exactly who these lions are. And then one of the lionesses who had her jaws around the buffalo's throat stood up, and I just managed to see that lioness without a tail. And I've only ever seen one lioness like that. And so this is the Birmingham breakaway pride that we have got in front of us. It's quite incredible. And I'm surprised that there's not so much shouting going on between them, but But I guess there's lots and lots of places where these lions can start eating from. I mean, they've got that big male's trying to turn the whole buffalo around. Can just imagine, I mean, this buffalo probably weighed close to 800 kilograms. And one of these lionesses, maybe about 150. So that's what, 5 times the weight of one lioness. And they're just so capable of working so well as a team that they are able to bring it down. And this buffalo definitely wouldn't have gone down without a fight. I mean, it's got those big, powerful legs. It's got that very, very powerful neck with lots of muscles and those very sharp horns. And so it would have tried with everything that it could to try and face each lion. But I'm sure they would have started to surround it and slowly but surely get closer and closer until one maybe jumped onto the back of the buffalo and started to weigh it down. And once the buffalo gets down onto the ground, then it's all over for it. Greybeard, I got most of your question. I think you're asking how often will lions steal from other predators, and it depends. You know, a lot of the time these lions will hunt by themselves for sure, but they won't pass up an opportunity to feed. And so if they happen to see a kill that was made by a leopard and the leopard hadn't hoisted it up a tree, they'll happily run in and take it. They'll sometimes even try and climb the tree to get up to where the kill is. And so they're not really selective. They'll go for anything really. You see that one is really starting to get into the stomach, and pretty soon it will start exposing the stomach contents and the organs. I can't believe this is the way that we're starting off our week. It can only mean that we're in for one amazing week ahead of us. Oh, it's the weekend. Sorry, why do I think it's Monday for some reason? What a way to end off the week, at least. There's one of the youngsters. So that one that's just stood up is a young male. Just managed to see in between his tails. His mane is starting to grow nicely. And then the one next to him is also a young male. There we go. There's one of the old lionesses coming in to greet. It's amazing how she was probably instrumental in the killing, but she's happy to take the back seat and let the youngsters feed. Doesn't seem like she's too interested in fighting over the kill. Butterfly, yeah, I think it would have been a painful death for this buffalo. You know, it happened relatively quickly though. I think when we started hearing the alarm calls or the distress calls, it took maybe about another 5 minutes, and then the buffalo was down, and it's definitely dead now. But hopefully it was so filled with adrenaline that it didn't feel very much for too long. But anyway, Owen and I aren't going to move from here at all, so let's see if anything interesting happens.
Right, welcome back to And Beyond Phinda Private Game Reserve. And after a long time of searching this morning, we have finally got some cheetah for you. So these are the exact ones that we've been looking for all morning. It's the same ones that Dumi was with yesterday afternoon. And he might have been talking about how skinny they were and hungry they were yesterday. And that is still the case this morning. As soon as we got here, they actually, there was some impala, and they quickly chased some impala, but we lost them in quite thick bush. And then the mother came back, which means she obviously didn't manage to catch anything. And they came straight back to this nice little raised up termite mound where they've got a nice view around them. And what a perfect spot to sit and warm up in the sun. Now, 2 of us have driven straight past this spot today. And somehow, I don't know where they were, but I specifically checked on this termite mound and they were not here. I don't know where they were this morning, but at least they're here now. And I think with it being such a cold morning, they probably weren't far away, but they just, yeah, maybe they were even behind this tree just off on the right. Maybe that's why I couldn't see them, I'm not sure. But how beautiful is this? Look at these little young ones warming up in the sun. So last time I was doing one of these safaris, this exact same cheetah caught an impala and killed it not too far, maybe 2 kilometers or so away from here. And that was probably the last time she ate, and that was about 4 or 5 days ago now. So it's about time for them to catch something again. You can see how alert she is. Look how she's looking around like that, quickly swinging around, constantly on the lookout for any movement in these bushes or these open areas around here. Sorry, someone was asking how far these cheetahs can see just now. They can see far. They've got very, very good vision. But they don't need to see too far. You know, like if they look up onto those hills in the distance, you know, they can probably see if there is an impala there, but they're not going to walk all that way just to find an impala. She'll be looking closer around here in these bushes, and her eyesight is very good, but it's the movement that she's going to pick up on. If there's movement anywhere in these trees or something like that, she'll see that, and that's what will point her in the right direction. But while she keeps scanning out into these bushes and looking for any opportunities, we'll let you carry on with your safari. We'll sit here and see what these cheetah get up to.
And welcome back again, everybody. This time to Chitra. Thanks, Sibui, with that wonderful little yawn. We are in a sighting, everybody, with 3 leopards, Sibui and her 2 cubs. How magical is that? She's like, yes, it's magical, isn't it? Now, cheetah and leopard are very, very good with their eyesight, but their habitat preference is very, very different. Most leopards like these woodland areas, dense vegetation, whereas cheetahs avoid them because cheetahs are very susceptible to being caught by bigger predators. So they like to be out in the open where they can see, pretty much like most of their prey animals do, being able to see. So now where we sit at this moment, we have got Sibui, and the 2 cubs are just playing around, just trying to give them a bit of space, and they're relaxing quite nicely, and they're probably going to come out into the open shortly. But we can't improve the view at this very moment, so we're going to stay right here and be patient like we were the other night. Hey Niels, remember how patient we were? And it provided some wonderful scenes of those 2 cubs at the end. How wonderful. So now I know a lot of you have been asking how Sibui is doing. There she is. She's looking great. The landowner of Chitwa told me the other night that she made a kill and dragged it onto one of the Chitwa decks. Isn't that crazy? I remember back in the days I worked at Singita, there was a leopard down in the Sabi Sands Singita property that used to make kills on the patio. I remember the general manager at the time woke up in the morning to find a bushbuck on the couch outside of his sort of balcony door with a leopard on it. That's talk about delivering milk early in the morning. Fresh impala, fresh bushbuck for breakfast. She's a very pretty leopard, isn't she? And the general consensus going around is Moati is potentially the father. How wonderful. Definitely he's doing his rounds. So we were potentially on tracks of Moati this morning. And now we've found one of his consorts. So always just keeping a little bit of an eye on her naughty two little kids. Any good mum does. They're going to come out shortly, and if not, I'll make a plan to get a view of them. Jojo, I agree with you. She is a pretty kitty. A very pretty kitty. And her cubs were being a little bit playful the moment before. They'll often come back to her and play with her as well, so I think this is the prime spot for it. Bear in mind we are live, everybody. These images are coming to you live from Chitwa in the Sabi Sands. And we'll always try to get you the best shots. Sometimes, though, the animal's behind the bush. It's just the way it is. You can probably hear a number of birds flittering around us and calling. Southern black tits, rattling cisticulars. They're all a little bit upset at the amount of cats hanging around in their small territory. She's reacting to a batalier. How cool is that? She reacted to the batalier, everybody. Bataliers are often indicators of meat. Oh, she's growling at something. I was trying to see if I can see what she's maybe growled at. How beautiful, Sibui. Now you've come out into the open and you're looking at Raymond and saying, Raymond, welcome to Chitwa. It's a bit cold this morning, although I'm warming up quite nicely. The steam coming out of her mouth there is incredible. It's possible. She's got a kill in the tree behind me. That's why she was reacting to the batalier. No, we had not seen the kill. Thanks, Nigel. So she was defending her kill, everybody. We will show you in a moment once we reposition. There is a very nicely butchered impala hanging from the tree. It's not only butcher birds that hang their food from larders. Leopards do the same thing, so as to eat from them at their leisure. And she knew the Bateleur was going to attempt, and she was going to tell it what she thought about it. So, how wonderful. Almost certain this will be an established sighting for the day, for the afternoon. There's still a fair amount of meat there, so it's just the noise of another vehicle moving. Okay, so we're going to reposition and maybe get you another shot of this carcass.
That is just awesome. I'm so glad that we managed to get that sighting. And then when I heard Sabia joined, I thought, oh, marvelous. Absolutely marvelous. Now, we've been having the most enjoyable elephant sighting. Absolutely enjoyable. About 3 little ones have been trying to lift up this log, and they've been tucking into whatever's underneath it, which is obviously some green grass. And like a brand new chips packet had been opened, and all the kids descended on it. That's what it looked like. And now this young boy is getting the leftovers. He's a little bit older than the other ones that were trying it first, and he managed to actually push it over. And he is having a good time. Very good time. It's been a lovely sighting. They're all around us. A nice big bull, lots of youngsters, big cows coming up to us. It's been awesome. I'm just going to be quiet for a little while so you can hear this little guy at work. Well, this would have been a lot more peaceful without the beeping of the Game Drive radio. But it's still a beautiful sight. Very good. Very good. Butterfly, you'd like to know if elephants sharpen their tusks. Well, they don't particularly go out to sharpen their tusks, but inevitably they do end up sharpening them in a way because they're constantly using them. In the same way as animals out here may sharpen their claws or may just feel something uncomfortable on their claws, so they run it down a tree. It's not that they're actually going after saying, oh, my claws are a bit blunt, let me go and sharpen them. They're just kind of pulling because something feels uncomfortable. In a similar way, if an elephant feels something's uncomfortable on its tusk, feels a bit odd, then it'll start to rub it against a tree, and inevitably it creates a bit of conical shape, but they don't particularly go after sharpening them.
And you're back with us, everybody. Now, I'm just going to slowly reposition, unless you've got it in here, so I just need to move forward. I think I'm going to move back a bit. I'm just going to go back slightly, and then just come around the corner. The Bateleur came back and Sibui got a bit upset and charged up the tree. Great. I'm just going to get you a nice position of her face over here. How's that, Niels? Okay. There we go. Sorry about the movement there, everybody, but she stood up and she went to the carcass, and then she decided to move away again. She's not hungry at the moment. She's obviously eaten, but she was not allowing... Ah, there we go. That's what we're looking for. She was not allowing the Bateleur to fly down and go for her kill. They are very good at spotting these things, Bateleurs. It's why we use them so often to help us find carcasses and kills. Another vehicle coming in to join us. Beautiful scenes. This is, everybody, the quintessential image of what people come to the Sabi Sands for, to see these leopards perched in marula trees. Doesn't matter how many times you see this, it never gets old. Now, Niels asked me the other day, what are my 5 favorite trees? And I told him, Niels, it's a very hard question to answer, but one of them is a marula with a leopard in it. Which is true. A marula, well, is quite a magical tree anyway. Quite a magical tree anyway. But with a leopard inside, it doesn't get better than that. Now all we need is for her cubs to come up the tree as well. And that would just make for a next level sighting. Looks like she's going to snooze a bit. She keeps looking over to see if the cubs, what they're doing. They're quite happy that Mum's provided them with food. And see how she behaves with them coming closer to eat though. Hannah, you want to know what Sibui means? I'm going to ask Raymond his interpretation of Sibui.
Surname.
Surname. But what does it mean? What is the meaning of Sibui? He says it's a surname.
Yes, it's a meaning
place.
Shed. Yeah.
The place or shed?
A shed.
A shed?
Yes.
Okay. Raymond says it means a shed.
Tuzi.
Tuzi.
Yeah.
I always believed it to mean sort of this place. Huh? Maybe I'm completely wrong.
It's Tuzi.
Tuzi.
Under the shed.
Under the shed.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Okay. We're going to stay here. The leopard cubs hopefully will be joining her for a meal shortly.
So we've just been having the most incredible viewing with these jackals on this Kudukil. They've been chasing each other. At one stage, 2 of them were fighting in the water, just on the opposite side of the carcass. And you're getting these youngsters coming in, and then the adults chase them off, and they come in, they chase them off again. So there's one approaching from the left-hand side. Look at that, tail down. Classic sign of submission. The more dominant one on the carcass, flicking its tail like that. Very aware of the one coming in. So typically, watch, that one's going to get closer, and then this other one might chase it. Just watch this, watch this. Look at that, heightened, more and more aggressive. Look, ears back, starting to snarl. And I just wish you could hear the sounds they're making. It's all these incredible growling sounds. That one's coming in slowly, slowly, slowly. Just give me a little piece, give me a little, watch. Oh, the moment that other one looks at it, it just stops her. It's probably going to move around to the eyes there, or to the head of that kudu. Well, there's not much to be had there in terms of picking, so those eyes have already been taken out. But I'll try there anyway. Oh, there we go. Sniff around there. But this has just been such an incredible sighting. We just decided to stay here rather than moving up to the meerkats this morning. The meerkats, Veronique is there. She's been keeping a close eye on them. Look at it now. There we go. Look, that was going to come out. But that big one on the left is obviously the more dominant animal out of the lot. Bonus has asked, will the jackals keep feeding even when they're full? They'll get to a point where they are completely full and then they'll move off. But what will happen is, even though they are full and they've moved away from the kill, they'll probably just stay in the close vicinity and feed on it at different intervals during the day. And they're out of sight from where Jean is, so don't worry about it. But just so you know, when there are a number of other jackals lying tucked away close to us, I've got a higher vantage point from where Jean is. So I can actually see. So there's other jackals that will wait their turn on this kill. They know there's no point in trying to move in, even if they are hungry and get a risk of an injury. There was actually a jackal that came trotting past earlier in the distance. It looked like it had quite a bad leg injury. We couldn't see what it was, but it was limping very, very badly. And that may have taken place on fighting on the carcass, or it could have been some other injury. But so, yeah, to answer your question in a nutshell, they will move off if they are full, but they'll hang around in the area and come back as they need to. Just love the way that one's standing on that kill. And they've eaten so much, even in the time that we've been here. But this one closest to camera now is very much a dominant male. You can see the nads at the back there, not very well. Yeah, look at that. I love standing on top of that kudu's neck now. Oh, this is just incredible sighting, man. Incredible sighting. And the last thing that I expected was, I guess you should always expect something out of the ordinary. But to see this kind of action playing out right in front of us, it's just unreal. And you can watch this for hours and hours and hours and not get bored. So I think this afternoon we're probably going to do our hide setup. We'll go sit in the little blind opposite this, and just hopefully we'll get something else. Perhaps brown hyena, maybe. Leopard. They'll feed on a carcass like this. Yeah, the leopards scavenge a lot, so it's not impossible that you could even get a sighting like that of something coming down. But I'm loving the fact of watching jackals feeding on this in the absence of other predators. You know, often they kind of like slinking around in the background and darting in and out. But to actually be focused completely on a group of jackals like this is just the absolute best. And very much fulfilling the role that dholes will do in India, coyotes, in the States. Lexi has asked a question: will black-backed jackals hunt in a pack? And it's a really fun question, that, because typically, no. You know, they'll normally forage by themselves or in pairs. You'll often see them moving around in pairs outside of the breeding season. But there are many records of them actually hunting in packs. So you can get... there's one particularly good record from an area not too far from us at a little nature reserve called Rooipot. And there they actually recorded a group of 7 or 8 of them, if I recall correctly, actually hunting impala, adult male impala, in a group. They actually chased this animal into a thicket and managed to take it down there. But yes, this interaction is nuts that we're seeing here. I love the spray of the water. Every single one of those jackals is wet. But back to the question, yeah, so typically they'll be hunting by themselves or in pairs, but they will actually hunt in packs occasionally as well. And that would normally be a family group, so it'll be youngsters from the previous litter, so young adults with a dominant pair actively hunting like that. And even then, taking down an adult impala is quite something. I mean, that's a substantial prey item for a group of jackals. Would have been amazing to do a time lapse on this kudu. If there was some way of putting a thing there, just like watching it like disintegrate. The guys have done that with all sorts of carcasses over the years and other reserves. Putting it on like an elephant carcass, for instance, and just seeing how it gets eaten away over time. Neva's just asked, is their social behavior similar to a wolf pack? No, they're going much, much smaller family groups. I know wolf packs can get quite large. You'll never get jackals in groups that size. You can see on a big carcass aggregations of jackals. So you could get 20, 30 jackals on a carcass. We've seen that before here as well on dead giraffe and things. But then they'll all split up into the respective family groups. So I guess in some ways, yeah, they would be similar in fact of having a very distinct structure, but they don't form packs as opposed to compared to things like wolves that do form big packs. These are family groups.
Right, welcome back to our little cheetah family here. Still not a lot of movement. Just moved up, got a bit of a different position in the sun, maybe warming up a different side of their body a little bit. And still looking very hungry. Now, what I was looking at just now, a few seconds ago myself, you zoom right in on the mother's back. There's a whole lot of, it looks like almost dry leaves or something stuck on her coat. And those are actually little thorns. We call them paper thorns. Oh, look at that. What happened there? They must have just heard a little sound in the bushes and they all got a fright. Anyway, those are all little, we call them paper thorns. They're just thin little thorns and they're really, really annoying actually. But they're obviously growing all on top of this mound and she obviously can hardly even feel them. But I know for me, if you walk around barefoot around our accommodation, or even you often walk them into your room and then get up in the middle of the night and step on one of those, it's really not pleasant. But she's got them all over her back. But also, while we're on that, just have a look at that beautiful color on her coat, that like golden rich brown, obviously scattered in between all those beautiful little black dots. They really are such beautiful animals. The cub, that one cub on the right is flat down, fast asleep. And now you saw when all of them jumped a few seconds ago, they're very on edge, and that's quite normal for cheetah. And that's the same reason why this mother's got her head up and constantly looking around. It is for food, but it's also in case there's any other predators close by that would obviously be a threat to her. You can see the cubs don't care as much. They're quite happy to put their head flat down and fall asleep. But the mom always keeps her head up and stays awake looking out for any trouble. What a perfect morning to be warming up in the sun like they're doing. Morning, Moondust. So these cheetah are looking for anything quite small. They are not the strongest of predators. They're not like lions or leopard that can take down bigger animals. So especially a female cheetah, she's going to be looking for things like impala or even female nyala. Those are pretty much the two antelope. There are others, there's an antelope called a grey duiker, but there's not too many of them around. But anything, even a scrub hare, a little rabbit, even down to the size of that. Male cheetah that are often in coalitions with more than one male together. I've seen them hunt wildebeest and zebra, usually slightly younger ones. And even there was two males here that hunted a young giraffe recently. So that's a really, really big thing. That's no problem for a lion, but for a cheetah that's not as strong as those other predators, that's quite impressive. But pretty much anything that they will be able to get under control and be able to kill quite easily. Obviously, she doesn't want to take the chance of getting injured as well, because if she gets injured and can't hunt, then she's going to die and her two cubs are going to die. They're still too young to be able to fend for themselves. So it's not easy. She has to be quite picky. I've even seen them look into a group of impala, see that they're all males, so it was a little bachelor herd. She sees that they're all males. They've obviously all got horns, which could injure her, and she'll turn and walk away. She'll rather not take that chance and not get injured. Look at that. Eyes closed, but still head up. Julian. What a cool question. Thank you. So those lines underneath their eyes there are firstly all part of their camouflage and just the way they blend into their surroundings. But also, I don't know where you are from, Julian, but one of the theories about why they have evolved these black stripes down from their eyes is that it helps them, because they hunt during the day, it helps to reflect some of the light, absorb some of the light that's coming from the sun and help them to see better even when they're looking straight into the sun. It's quite like your American footballers that have the black stripe of paint on their face. It's very similar to that. That is one of the theories. It definitely will help them, that's for sure. But whether or not that's why it happened, we will never know. But it's beautiful, isn't it? I think it's one of the really amazing things about cheetahs, those black stripes on the eyes. Well, since these cheetahs are still resting in the sun here, I think I'm going to spend a bit more time here and let you carry on with your safari.
Wild Earth relies on support from viewers like you to carry on broadcasting our daily live shows. A small donation goes a long way in helping us on our mission to connect the world with nature. Please visit our support page to see how you can help and become part of the Wild Earth family.
Welcome back, everyone. We are still here with Sibui, who's looking a little bit more relaxed, as you can tell. She's decided to have a little bit of a snooze. But Niels, if you don't mind, on the floor below the tree here on the right, there's a starling there that is eating a little bit of meat that has been dropped. You see the starling just on the right there? Oh, it stopped eating it. It had a little bit of lung. It looked like lung or stomach. And another starling. Yes, that's starling at the back now. One of the back has got the stomach now, or the piece of meat. How interesting. How interesting is that? Now, that's a piece of something that's fallen off from this kill. And see how I spoke earlier about trikes impaling stuff so as to break them and tear them apart. This starling is going to have to rip that apart by flicking it. It's not going to be able to swallow that whole thing. And they don't have the ability to hold it with their foot like raptors do. So it obviously flicks it around, can't break it, or leave it alone. Interesting to see these starlings scavenging off of what's been dropped from this carcass. Very high up in the marula tree. There we go, everybody. This is what people come to the Sabi Sands for. Right there. Very comfortable looking cat. Perched beautifully in a magnificent marula tree. Legs hanging down. Impala legs hanging down as well. You can see at the back there, there's a female impala that's perched precariously over the edge. Now that's a 40 odd kilogram, so 80 odd pounds that this leopard's had to carry up 4 meters, 4.5, 5 meters up in the mouth, using the strength of the muscles and the claws attached, which is quite incredible. I mean, can you imagine trying to pull yourself up a tree with your nails, let alone something that's almost the same weight as you? Quite incredible. And sometimes you will see a leopard trying to hoist a kill with their cub nearby, and the cub trying to grab the other end and pulling it the other way. Very frustrating. We're hoping the 2 cubs are going to come out shortly. Come and climb up this tree. I think that will be a magical thing to see. It's a nice open marula, no leaves on it currently. It's obviously in the dead of winter. Look at that wonderful foot. That is what leaves behind us such wonderful tracks. So in a tree like this with no leaves and 3 leopards in it is definitely something that I am hoping to see. Cubs are obviously very agile, very able to climb after 3-4 months, 4.5 months, able to climb, no problem. Their age, they'd be able to go up this tree very, very quickly. And the biggest issue Mum has is that the youngsters aren't as experienced at feeding in the tree as she is, and quite often will drop the carcass to the floor, which can be a bit of a problem if there are scavengers around. Don't see any scavengers around, only these small, beautiful little birds.
Things are just getting more and more and more crazy at this buffalo kill that we've just been witnessing the whole morning. The 2 dominant males of the area have rocked up. They must have heard the buffalo distress calling and they've arrived in the scene, and surprisingly not too interested in looking to kill or looking to feed on the buffalo at least. But if you were with us 20 minutes ago or so and you saw that young male that was feeding off of the carcass, the only thing that they've been interested in is getting that male away, which I found very, very interesting, especially because there's a fresh buffalo carcass here. But they have been roaring, they've been showing their dominance, they've been trying to chase and drive that male away, and so far they've been successful. He left, as far as we can tell, without injury, but it's so interesting to kind of feel that that young male is going through exactly the same thing that that young Birmingham Pride male is going through at this moment in time. So one of the males has returned and he's lying in the shade of the bush that's just off to the left of the buffalo kill, so we won't see him. He's in there and he's basically just watching over what's going on here. whilst the rest of them are all just, it's amazing. There's been so much action going on around and off of the carcass, but the youngsters have got one thing on their mind, and that is just to feed as much as they can. And so they have just been feeding in as many directions as possible. We've got quite a gruesome view of that face, and so the nose has been peeled off the cheek. Basically all of the soft tissue around the face is completely gone now. And so the rest of the pride has just really been feeding as much as they can, and so we've been getting quite a few little swipes from one another. They'll hit each other on top of the head occasionally, but still, I mean, this female that's up and feeding, and she's standing up and getting underneath the armpit, she'll occasionally just keep watching where that dominant male is off to the left of the trees there. What I found quite impressive is how protective these females have been of that young male. So the two dominant males ran in. At least 2 or 3 of the females ran after the Ross males, trying to deter them and trying to protect the young male. We're hoping that he maybe got something to feed. Didn't look like he got anything at all, so he might be watching from a distance, looking at his family feeding on this buffalo without getting a single bite. But you never know. Once the rest of the pride moves off, you might find the males might come in and continue feeding, and then they might leave to go and have something to drink, where they might leave a lot of the carcass unattended, and he might come in and try and feed as much as he can. You see that rustling every now and again. They keep turning their heads just to make sure that they're not coming for him. The one on the far left-hand side of the buffalo, so the one closest to the bush, is a young male. And so he's probably also quite nervous. I don't think he's quite yet at the age where the males are that interested in him. They probably don't really perceive him to be too much of a threat. Some growling going on again. And often the feistiest ones around the kill are the youngest and the smallest ones. They need to throw away and throw their weight around a lot more and be more aggressive, when the others can just use their size to bully them off of the carcass. Quite a view there. See again, and I think it's just the Ross male turning and shifting around, and every time he does so, he rustles the grass a lot. And when that happens, obviously there's a lot of noise, and these ones just pick up their heads and make sure that he's not coming for them. A few of them are starting to feel the heat, I think. After having their faces stuffed in the buffalo, they're not really breathing properly, and so they're not really getting a proper breathful of air, and so they sometimes lift up their heads and they look very exhausted, and they start panting heavily. And with the heat coming down and getting hotter and hotter, I think they're just going to start panting more and more, and they might eventually move into the shade around the buffalo carcass. I think once they've started eating more of the carcass, one of the adults will definitely try and drag this buffalo underneath some sort of shelter, just to try and protect it from the vultures, because once the vultures start circling around, anything can come in here. Hyenas, other male lions. I mean, we're fairly certain that the two dominant males came into this area because they heard that buffalo distress calling. And we saw them eventually come from about 20 meters away. And they were very tentative at first. And then they just decided to get up and race straight towards the young male who saw the two and took off at a rate of speed. See, a few of them, I mean, they've got their ears pinned back still, and that's quite an aggressive posture around the carcass, but some of them are slowly but surely starting to close their eyes. And just watch it. And with the one standing up, when she starts growling, just focus on her tail. And every time she makes a noise, she flicks her tail from side to side like that. And that's a very, very good indication that she's a bit agitated. And the tail's flicking from side to side. It's a visual cue that she's not happy. So when she growls and starts flicking her tail, and she's essentially holding quite an aggressive posture as she's feeding over that spot. And she's just deterring the lions on the right and the lions on the left of her not to get into her spot. And now on the right hand side, we've been joined by the big female. She's one of the lead females who's now feeding on the face, and she's the one without a tail. And so I would imagine that she would probably be responsible for probably leading the hunt with this buffalo. You just have to think how many times in her life has she needed to try and practice to perfect the art of hunting buffalo. I mean, it's such a risky move because of the injury that these buffaloes can inflict. She's just so powerful. I mean, we haven't even really gotten the opportunity to count how many lions are around. There's just been so much action that's happened. So we definitely know that there are 4 females, and the rest of them are all cubs of different ages and different sexes. And so, yeah, it's been absolutely fascinating to watch and unfold. And we probably aren't going to move around anytime soon, and see if maybe that young male decides to return for his share of the buffalo.
Just 2 beautiful giraffe. I know I keep saying the word beautiful. I need to find some other things, but they are. That cow, which is the one closest to the edge of the water, and then the big bull. And if he comes down to drink, you'll actually see how much taller than he really is. There you go. That's giving you a nice idea of the size difference between the male and the female. So the female is the one on the left, male is on the right. And they're going to come down for a drink. They've actually been sort of like loitering in the background. He's been constantly sniffing her, seeing if she's ready to mate with, if she's an estrus. And she doesn't seem to be particularly interested, but he will keep trying, as you can see. So she says, leave me alone, all I want to do is drink water. He's like, she's very aware. So Jadra and I were chatting about something interesting here, in terms, and we know elephants are very aware the concept of death. You know, and they pack branches over other dead elephants, and you'll often see them holding the bones. But what about other animals? Do these giraffe get down to the water, and are they aware of the death of this kudu? You know, when a warthog comes to drink, and we know warthogs will even feed on carcasses, but is there that sense of, okay, this kudu has died, and it's, you know, and so there's certainly different levels of that awareness, and we know elephants are very, very aware of that. But what about these other things? That's, you know, that's just an interesting train of thought, something to explore. I'm loving that giraffe with a huge weaver nest in the background. So you got the tallest animal, and you got the largest nest. So if you, John, I don't know if you can go across to the male. You see the ripple, the reflections of the water running along the underside of that male. I don't know if you can, well, you can see that. But I always think, those of you who have swimming pools at home, if you look at the pattern of a giraffe, it always reminds me of a hot summer's day when you get the ripples on the bottom of a swimming pool, in a weird kind of way. You know, the patterns on a giraffe, and looking at the ripples underneath that male, the reflection of the water underneath him, it's pretty cool. It's a wonderfully productive morning. I'm sitting at this waterhole, but you got, Chandre's just going to pan over me here. I'll try to get out the way. Look what's coming down to drink on the opposite side of us. So this is quite, it's like Chandre's doing like some weird contortionist tricks here. But look what's coming down to drink on that side. It's a whole herd of springbuck and a wildebeest. So we've had like jackals here. We've actually had a warthog that came in to drink earlier. Giraffe, wildebeest, springbuck. Well, we know for a fact that kudu was here. I don't know if it actually got to drink before it was eaten. and we got Sheldon that left. He actually flew off to the nest. We saw that, and now he came back earlier. So he's now waiting here during the day. The female will actually leave the nest later as well, because she, remember, even though she's incubating, she'll have to come and drink and feed at intervals. Not so much drink, but feed at intervals. So there's just so much activity going on around here. It's really, really, really cool. And I think having this kill here, if we're sitting on the opposite side of the dam this afternoon, the light will be in our favor, the wind will be in our favor. It's just going to be a really, really productive afternoon, I think. This is just brilliant, eh? She's got one thing on her mind, and that's drinking, and he's got something entirely different on his mind. If we're lucky, we may even see some sandgrass coming into drink just now. Taylor Meg has asked a brilliant question, probably one of the nicest questions I've been given in a long time. And I'll tell you what the question is, but I'll say first, I don't have an answer for it. Well, not a great answer. So the question that's been asked is, if these animals are, well, we know they are living in the same environment, why is their camouflage all different? And think about that. Most of these animals are only seeing in shades of grey. Okay, there are variations. Don't, before the critics out there get too jumpy. Okay, but most of this is like shades of grey. So imagine you're watching a black and white television. I doubt whether many people have a black and white television anymore, but try and imagine it. So you're seeing in shades of grey. Okay, so in which case, even a plain coloured animal, a uniformly coloured animal, let's say like a lion or something like it, would actually blend in incredibly well into this environment. But if you've got a pattern like this giraffe that's very broken up, or stripes on a kudu, for instance, or the spot pattern on a leopard, it just, that disruptive camouflage just goes a long way to breaking up your outline completely. But then the question still begs itself, well, does everyone not just use disruptive camouflage? Even in an open grassland environment, you would imagine that disruptive camouflage would be incredibly good, even if it's a stripy pattern. So that is a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant answer, and I think I need to do a bit of homework on the science behind different patterns in camouflage, because we all know they work very, very well, but you get so much variation even within the same kind of habitat that it really begs some questions. We've got the most amazing scene going on behind me here. It is just the best thing in the world. Look at this, guys. Look at this. I'm so excited. Oh my word. Can it get any better than this? I don't think so. And just when you thought it couldn't get any better, it did get a whole lot better. Sheldon's going to take off. This is amazing.
So we've also got a beautiful waterhole scene with 3 nice elephant bulls, a whole herd of impala, and that very dark giraffe that we had seen, I think, a couple of days ago. He's also here at the water. He's a bit nervous to drink with the elephants there, but he wants to come close. You see, as he walks slowly towards the water, you might get a chance to see him drinking. It's the very, very dark, handsome giraffe that we saw the other day, always looking towards us. Hello, Mr. Giraffe. And these 3 elephant bulls are also beautiful. The one in the large elephant bull, that is Kumo, as we've seen him a whole bunch of times. Remember, Kumo is that elephant who had the collar on him, and you can tell it's Kumo because of that wound on his trunk, just between his tusks there. You can see there's a little scarring. That's how we identify this particular elephant beautiful. And very, very relaxed, and it's nice to see them so easy with each other and with the other animals at the waterhole. Quite often, when elephants are at the waterhole, they tend to chase everything else away. So these elephants are going to continue drinking, and the other animals will arrive, and we'll just wait and see what happens.
Welcome back, everyone. And a little bit has happened here. Oh, there's a wildebeest that came into the scene and saw the cheetah straight away and started alarm calling. But as we were talking about just before the break, that wildebeest will be too big for the cheetahs to hunt, so they've just actually kind of ignored it, and it alarmed a few times at them, and they hardly even gave it a second look, and now it seems to have walked away.
It's funny to see the cub looking at it, Mom's just,
Yeah, yeah, as Marcel says, the cub is looking at the wildebeest, but Mom knows that it's too big and it's a waste of time, so she's not even interested in the slightest. But the sun is really warming up nicely. I'm sure these cheetahs are feeling it too, and it's amazing how in summer, at this time of the day, we probably almost would have finished Game Drive already, and something like a cheetah like this would have already found some shade and would be resting. They would have been hunting for the first couple of hours maybe of the morning, but now it would just be too hot for them to be moving around, and they'll more than likely find shade. Whereas now, in the middle of winter, it's completely the opposite. They have rest, they haven't moved much at all this whole morning, except when they quickly tried to chase some impala a bit earlier, but then they came straight back to the same spot. Kiki, that's a very good question. Why are their snouts shorter than other cats? So, I don't know if, I suppose it is slightly shorter. I've never really noticed that. But yeah, it is a bit shorter than, say, a leopard or a lion. And it could maybe be to do with their sense of smell. Because a leopard and a lion hunts more where there's a lot more cover, so in the trees, usually in thicker areas, they have to get a lot closer to whatever it is that they are hunting. And maybe they would need a slightly better sense of smell to be able to help them with that. Whereas a cheetah hunting out here in the big open grassland is not relying on scent at all. And they've still got pretty good sense of smell, but they're not relying on their scent at all. They're using their eyes to scan around, look for any movement of animals, and that's what's going to help them to successfully hunt. So I'll just say that's probably it, but that's my own little variation of it. Who knows if it's right? But that makes a lot of sense in my head anyway. Well, as I was saying, with it being winter now, they've been resting all morning. I would say they probably are going to get up, with them being so skinny, are going to get up at some time today and go and hunt. Unfortunately, it wasn't our morning this morning for them to get up and do too much, but we've always got this afternoon's drive, and yeah, maybe we can try and look for them again this afternoon. We'll see what happens, but we'll let you carry on for now.
Things are just getting more and more and more crazy. And so what's basically happened is that the young male managed to sneak around the Ross males and rejoin the rest of the pride at the carcass. And he was happily feeding for the total of about a minute and a half, and then the Ross males returned and saw him, and they tried to chase him away for good. He got a good head start and he turned and bolted. One male managed to move around the females and trace straight after him, but then the females managed to stop, at least slow down one of the Ross males, and it was the blunder one, so he tends to be the less aggressive one. But one of the females on the right hand side of Owen is coming back. Wow, I'm sure you can hear the craziness. We are definitely, and here come the Ross males right on cue. They're walking straight behind the vehicle, so they're going to come in now. What an amazing way, like I say, such a beautiful way to start the weekend. It's been utterly ridiculous. The noises, the action, the violence, the aggression, it's all just reiterated how powerful a lion can be. See if we can get you one. Look at this male. He's looking bloody. He's got blood on his face. One of the females must have been able to get him. He's got a new cut that's right on the bridge of his nose. What an amazing unit. They've been able to work together, protect themselves, get a nice meal. This is just incredible.